Cooper, Bob, this is going to be Dr. Cooper and Dr. Bob. This is going to be a kind of a Q&A style. So I have a list of questions for Jen that, a lot of you have asked me specifically for lead follow-up, everything from phone scripts, mindset, and all those things. So here we have Jen. Jen, I'll let you do a little bit of introduction. Let you tell everyone who you are and what you do.
Sweet. Hi, docs. I'm happy to be here. It's like, where do I start? I love helping patients. And so that's really my drive to run the business I run today. I don't like that hasn't gotten boring for me yet. I think the day that it does is the day I need to stop doing it and doing something else. Like I'm very fired up to tell more patients about our type of healthcare. So I have a little friend here. So I ran a practice for the last several years prior to starting my business. Very busy, very high volume chiropractic office. We were integrated with, like regenerative medicine, weight loss programs, neuropathy, knee decompression, spinal decompression. We kind of did all of it to really have a well-rounded way to support our patients. And I love that, whether you have, just chiropractic or more. Love it. So I ran a practice, and when I had to leave and move across states, I wanted to still make an impact some way. And I was working with a marketing agency with the practice, and they found out that I was doing lead nurturing. They knew me, they knew what I believed in. They knew I was super passionate about getting patients in the door. So they hired me when I moved away from the practice to be their call team. It started with me, and 3.5 years later, I've worked with hundreds of offices, very specifically following, when the marketing is happening, any leads coming in from any marketing avenues, whether that's social media ads, Google ads, Facebook ads, doesn't matter, mailers, radio ads. We are the team that get in and follow up. So I found how big of a gap. We as clinics spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to get, on the ad spend and your time and energy getting ads going and running. We have to have a solid thing in place after that. And I saw how drastically that was missing even in our practice, and more so once I started this business. So we don't market, we don't do any of that. We take the leads and we convert them. We have meaningful conversations with patients and we book them into the practices for them. So that's it. That's what we do.
All right. Awesome. Appreciate that. Yeah, after working with hundreds of docs, teaching them how to get the ad spend, how to get the leads, I've also seen like a big gap in just what I call like really high level follow-up, getting more people that are leads that maybe didn't book in the calendar, or maybe did book in the calendar to actually show up in your door. And there's just so much opportunity there. So,
Yes.
we have our systems, and I see, you know, even if you have clear directions on how to follow up, what to say, how to do it, there's still this big gap because it's not easy thing to do. It takes focus, attention, and energy to do it well. And typically, if it's the doc doing it, the doc's also the doctor. The doc's
Yeah.
also running the marketing. So there's usually like a gap there in what you just humanly can do. And then same thing with the front desk staff. I did follow up and everything like that. And I wore lots of hats. I was telling Jen earlier. And if I'm doing follow up really well, then it's taken away from either the service I'm getting other people or other elements of making sure that the flow in the office is good. So there's usually a give and take there.
Mhm.
And yeah, so Dr. Travis and I have been using the Troy method, Jen, for the done for you service for the last couple months here. And, it's been kind of a no-brainer for us to take that pressure off of our now CA that does that to ultimately just get more people in the door. So that's just a little background on what I'll have to say about that. So I'd love to move into a question specifically around just overall mindset. Like, let's say you have go high level up in front of you, you have all of these leads, and maybe that did book, you got to confirm. So specifically from Facebook and Instagram with these leads, is there, some insight you can give us on maybe like entering the phone call booth? Like you're gonna maybe follow up for the next 30 minutes or so, or hour or so, you have the time blocked off. How should I approach that in terms of my mindset?
Yeah. Ooh, I love it. Cause I was about to say, hey, can I add to what you're saying? And this is this is one of the biggest things, truly, because we can have phenomenal staff in our office. We did, they cared, but they wore hats, right? Lots of
Mhm.
hats. And their mindset, they have to be ready to wipe off everything else that's going on around them. I think that that's the biggest challenge is the A for attitude really does matter. And what I mean by that is what I've seen helping practices now, again, it's, I don't want to be pounding on staff because I know that they care and I know that they want to do the best jobs they can. However, they're doing so much other things. This piece of it starts to become a nuisance to them almost.
Mm,
Oh my gosh, we have enough new patients. Why am I
mm,
adding on to this? We did it. We just did an event the other day. We just were at the fair. We just took a phone call here. So they have to understand that they are the gatekeepers to the entire practice. Every effort from every marketing channel, from every discussion that's out there, from every point they come into the practice, it's this person. They are the ones that are owning that process. And so they really have to recognize that in their mind that it boils down to them. No pressure, but it does. They that this day zero, I've heard, like I've been tagging it as what is happening prior to them ever walking in the door is arguably more important than what's
mm,
happening when they get there. But our docs have to be encouraging, or the office managers have to be encouraging of that mindset for the people. This is not just an afterthought. It's so much more important in that. But you can't tell staff that once or twice. It has to be
mm,
a continual conversation in regular trainings at the office. It has to be talked about often, just like you have to educate patients continually for them to
mm.
understand why they're coming to the practice. And to understand why the care is important. The staff needs that mindset too. They need to understand how important this is, really.
Beautifully said. Yeah. Something that I see overlooked so often is the continual training of, these systems, and especially this system being such a driver of revenue by getting new people in the door. It makes
Mhm.
sense that you want to invest time, energy, into that training to make sure everybody is on board, they're motivated, they're doing it correctly, you have your checklist. So I think that's super, super helpful as a reminder there.
Well, and to add to that is we can say out loud that, we need to do regular training, but what does that really look like? How do I implement it? What do I do? And I can give just advice from what we did in our practice that helped. We scheduled the time
Mm,
regularly. Everybody knew
mhm,
when that time was coming to train on something, whether it's, how to greet somebody at the front door or whether it was how
mm,
to be on phone calls with leads. The other mindset, little pointer I'd give is we talk about leads from our marketing channels who don't really know us yet, know,
mhm,
like, trust who the office
mhm.
is. The mindset has to be a lead is very different than a referral. You have to have different conversations with those people on the phone. And it's important for your staff to note that. That just came up to my mind and I wanted to say it before it left.
Yeah.
Schedule trainings with your team regularly. Have a plan of what that topic is. We used to cycle through. One week it would be phone training. The next week it would be how to use the CRM. The next week
Mhm.
it would be another mindset, talking all about that. So we would cycle through those. And even though we did it a month prior, we were going to do role plays again today. How are you sounding on the
Mhm.
phone? Right, in
Yeah.
real time. If you can do it really uncomfortably in front of the doctor and the staff that you work with, you can do it better on the phone. So,
Yeah. Awesome. So with the leads coming from, let's say, social media, that maybe, instead of them searching you or being referred,
yeah.
there's less of the know, like, and trust. So what might be like a principle or a concept I could think about when maybe reaching out to, a lead from Facebook or Instagram versus a referral to hopefully maybe increase or better have them better understand, us to build that know, like, and trust little, triangle.
Mm. Lots to unpack. I think if we're
Yes.
speaking about like specifically on the phones with people, Our staff has to be able to have meaningful conversations with them. You never just get on a phone call from a social media lead and just book an appointment. They need to know you, understand who you are, like you, and you have to have a conversation with them to do that. So that would be, if I have to pick of the many things,
Yeah.
that would be the one thing that's super important about social media ads specifically. If we just think about, so I just did a video on this on my page the other day. If you think about social media, nobody really is going to a social media and just scrolling to find help with back pain. Can we all agree, right? Or whatever that ailment is. They're not going there to search like they do Google. They're coming and they're already scrolling, and then they see you. Oh, yes, I do have this. So I'm going to try it. When they click that button, it's about getting on and having a conversation with them, talking to them as a human, not rushing through it, because the staff has a tendency to do that because they're busy doing other things. Sit in the moment, wash the rest out, have a conversation with that lead, understand what's going on with them. The person who's asking questions is in control of the conversation. Make sure the staff is asking questions. What's going on? What have you done? Are you ready to feel better? You know, many things we have with our script, but that's super important. Never just go to booking the appointment. And if there's like self-booking online, right? Cool.
Yeah.
They're picking a date and time on a calendar through your marketing process. You have to still follow up with somebody having a conversation with them.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to have that touch point. I liked how you mentioned, if you're the one asking questions, you're in control. So is there anything else? Because it sounds like to be in control, you want to like lead them appropriately. So is there anything maybe with like tactically with either like building rapport through tonality, or like making sure like we're the ones in the driver's seat, making sure like we're guiding them to, through the questions we ask, making sure like it's a good fit first of all, and then they're talking to the right people and maybe we can help them. Is there anything you have there for us?
100%. So we talk about this with my team a lot, tonality. That's one thing, right? Where you can hear somebody. So we have a script, like people think the script, the word script is a dirty word. It's not. It's a template of ideal words that if somebody can confidently go through a script on the phone, it's better that way. They're not missing anything. And a script can also sound monotonous. The tone can just be monotone, like somebody's reading something. So it is important to use inflection and have, just tonality. Like, how do you explain that, right? Use a personality, use your care and concern for the patient. Super important. But with asking questions on the phones, you don't want to leave them open-ended questions. There's sales aspects to these conversations,
Absolutely.
right? And not everybody's great at that. You don't have to be, but you do have to understand the concepts behind it. So for us, we're never, we ask a question, get an answer, and we move on. We don't leave dead space on the phone calls, because that opens it up to then patient asking questions. The more questions they ask, the less likely they're going to come in. Why? Because they think they've gotten all their questions answered already. You don't want that on the phone either. And I think that's important. So I could get on a soapbox. So
Yes.
dial me back
Please.
in, Ryan.
No.
But when you're speaking about specific tactics, you are leading the conversation not only by answering questions, but also by not giving dead air and allowing that patient time to ask something that might be an objection. Does my insurance cover this? The infamous questions that we get that we then have to deal with and handle those objections. So don't leave dead space. When a patient does ask a question though, answer it and end your answer with another question, because you're back to leading the conversation then. Super important. And again, we're saying a lot and giving a lot of tips. It's just progress over time with your staff and practice and their mindset on how they're handling these calls. It's all wrapped together and repetitive. When you do things over and over again, that's when you become practice makes perfect-ish.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. I think it comes back to like the mindset, going through the trainings, being prepared. That will
Mhm.
hopefully that preparation will lead you to be more confident over the phone and have a direct
100%.
correlation to how you show up, being able to use inflections and being able to like truly lead the person on the phone.
Well, and you just said something too that I want to touch on, confidence. Sometimes when a staff member is doing this, they're not confident. I get it. Like if it's their first phone call they're ever going to be on with a patient, or
Yeah.
if it's the first time they're owning this process, they can lack the confidence. I think one thing that helped us, particularly in practice, but also my team, we are constantly educating my team specifically, who's on calls with patients all day long for clinics all over the place. We're constantly training on, well, what are these doctors actually doing to help these patients? What are treatments like? What do they mean? And it's not to answer all the questions on the call. It's to simply build the confidence that when Erica, my team member, is on the phone with somebody, they are confident they are sending that patient to the right place. So I've
Mhm.
been on calls with staff who don't even know how to explain a misalignment in the spine. I
Mhm.
think that's a miss. We need to teach our staff what's actually happening and how it's helping the patients. Somehow there's team members who don't really get it. Those should not be the people on the phone with your leads.
Okay. I guess a specific question within there. Once again, we could go all these
Oh
different
yeah,
places, but
so
that
fun.
brought one up. Do you think they should be prepared to answer a question and correctly maybe address if somebody asks what a subluxation or misalignment is, or is part of maybe your process to go out of your way to educate them before? Like, is there anything there?
That's a good question. So, and I don't want it to be misunderstood.
Yeah.
You do not want to answer we are not the doctors on the phone, like, right?
Yeah.
The staff is not the doctors. They're not the experts in misalignments in the spine. So I don't want
Yes.
anybody to mishear me on that. I think it's important that your staff understands it. That's all,
Gotcha.
and knows it, because it builds the confidence to have conversations with
Mm,
patients on the phone. Doesn't mean they're having conversations about misalignments. Sorry if that was
yeah.
unclear. What I mean
Gotcha.
by that is it innately will help build the confidence when they're telling that patient on the phone, Mrs. Smith, after everything we've talked about, I think you're a perfect fit for our office. I think one of these programs could be fantastic for you. Let's get you in. They need to mean it. It can't just
Yeah.
be a script. And if they
Yeah.
understand a little bit more about what we're doing to help patients, so no, don't answer all the questions. We don't
Yeah.
tell, when somebody asks my team, well, what's spinal decompression? That is exactly what the first visit is for. I don't want to steer you wrong and give
Mm,
you the wrong information. The clinical staff is going to share that with you. That's variable from clinic to clinic. Okay. I'm
yeah.
not a doctor, but I could answer that question super confidently, and I can explain what spinal decompression is to a patient on the phone.
Mhm.
But again, if it's some clinics want us to, other clinics don't. I get it. It depends on
Yeah.
the person on the phone, but I would lean towards answering less of those, like, what's the treatment like?
Mm,
What's red light therapy? What's chiropractic really do? Those like clinical questions stay with the first appointment. If we're talking
mhm.
about insurance questions and, some of
Yeah.
the normal things that leads ask, like, how much is this going to cost? What's the insurance look like? Those are the questions that you can ask. But again, we always steer patients back to, they're going to go over everything at your first visit.
Yeah.
That's part of this package you're getting when you come in.
Okay.
Does that
Awesome. So
help?
absolutely like like there are concept of there's an appropriate time to redirect or like, bring it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, just knowing really what I love training my staff on, if they're talking to a patient about neuropathy, is one of the niches
Mhm.
we do, right?
Yeah.
If they're talking to a patient about neuropathy, I want them to at least understand what treatments
Yeah.
that patient might be getting. They don't
Yeah.
have to talk about it. That's not their job. That's not what they're
Yeah.
doing, but they're confident to talk about it, to answer, hey, let's get you scheduled, so that's really what I mean by,
Yeah.
by understanding what treatments are even happening to help
Mm,
these patients. It makes a huge difference in their commitment to
yeah.
helping book more appointments and be faster at following up with leads, and
Yeah.
be better at meaningful conversations with them.
Absolutely cool. I love that. All right. So then a couple I guess maybe in the weeds ask questions, would be in this little realm here. Do you have when somebody asks what's it going to cost, is that something you're redirecting, transparent? Is it dependent on the practice? Did your team have any?
100% depends on the practice.
Gotcha.
Oh, I go back and forth on this one
Yeah.
personally, and I've been
Yeah.
doing this for a long time.
Hmm.
It really depends. Social media ads, again, they don't know you well enough
Yeah.
unless they are more aware of you in your community and they've seen your name everywhere. So I think there's aspects of this in our clinic, because I've seen both sides and I've seen it work both ways. Let's be fair. I don't think there's a right
Yeah.
or wrong answer here. Um, it depends on if you want to even have a chance of tire kickers coming into your office or not. I mean, that's the reality. If so when we're talking about price, let me
Mhm.
understand what you're asking.
Yeah.
Most offices don't have us go through, hey, your care may be, several visits for several weeks and your care plan is going to be $3,000. We would 99.999% of the time, we aren't going over that on the
Yeah.
phones. But it can work though,
Mm.
when done properly.
Yeah.
So I would say most often, and in our practice, we never gave pricing over the phone. Why? Because we needed to see the patient. In our mind, they might get different. They might have clicked on a spinal decompression ad and not need
Yeah.
spinal decompression. They come
Yep.
in, they need something different. We redirect the patient to a different treatment, a different plan that if we quoted them something on the phone, we might have lost them ahead of time. We need to get them into the practice, have them learn more about us, have them see what we do, and then talk about pricing. So I lean more towards not doing it over the phone, but you
Hmm.
can when done
Yeah.
properly. And really, I've also seen really cool, um, this has worked well, is that the doctor will get on the phone and go through that on an initial call with a lead. If we're on the phone with a lead, and we've had offices that have us transfer to the doctor right away. And then they
Hmm.
have a conversation and then they come in. So
Yeah.
it can work. It can
Yeah.
work. But you have to be the person on the phone really has to
Yeah.
be trained on it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think that's insightful. We typically steer the rule of thumb, like pricing would be safer, like in office, which
100%. Yeah.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
yeah, there's probably room to people do it the other way and have a lot of success with it.
Mhm.
But I think, yeah, typically it's been most effective for us because taking the we're not the doctor on the phone, but still like, in
Yeah.
case we truly don't know if we can help them until they go through the exam process, and then we give recommendations. So to like talk
Right.
about how much your care is going to cost when we don't even know if we can help you yet,
Yes.
seems a little bit ahead to, for me
Ahead of
anyways,
the
that
game.
first. Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, that's for the offices that really don't even want to have a chance with that person. Like they
Yeah.
have their ideal client in mind. Their ideal client's going to spend a lot of money. I mean, that's, I get it. That's what we're here to do, is help patients and collect dollars. So
Mhm.
yeah, if executed properly, it can be done. But
Yeah.
by and large, you got to do it in the office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's chat a little bit about um taking credit cards over the phone for either a deposit or card on file to ensure after you've had your conversation to make sure they show up. So I counter a lot of people, and I was one of them that had just a ton of resistance. And I think it was just a belief I had that, people aren't comfortable doing this. So maybe if we could speak to maybe like getting over that resistance and just the importance of taking that card on file and or deposit. I'm not sure if you have a preference there to make sure they actually show up. So your time's not being wasted. You're not being demoralized from Facebook and Instagram ads. Because I've seen people spiral from this. Next thing you know, they have a resistance to Facebook ads in general because they've labeled those people as bad quality because they haven't shown up, when you can simply just change something in your process that
Mm.
I've make a mandatory for our docs, but I still find that resistance. So I was hoping maybe you could touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, One, I would say you either take the card or you take the payment. If you want
Hmm.
more people to show up from social media ads specifically, it's probably better. It works when you don't too. Like there's no black and white answers. It
Hmm.
depends on your area, the demographic in your area of people. Like it depends
Hmm.
on a lot of things, but I would say it's better to collect a card on file or take a payment, but there's a way to do it on the phones that doesn't defeat you over and over and over again. Almost all the clinics we serve have us doing one or the other. And I advise to do it. But I ultimately leave it to the clinic and what they've seen in the past works, doesn't work, et cetera. We layer it into the phone call. It's like the layers of the onion. It's like when we're going through a care plan in the practice, you don't just one time tell them the price, at least not in our practice. Everybody does it different. We used to layer in the cost. So when we're talking to the patient, and we're going through the appointment times, we do say, oh, yep. And we're going to need to take your card to secure your spot. So I'm going to let you get that. I'm going to keep going through the process of booking your appointment. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. So we almost mention it first. So it's like planting a seed for that person to know that they're going to have to pull their card out. We really feel like that's helped in our scripting process to not just say it one time, get through the script, have the conversation, and then boom, try to take a payment. We layer it in so the patient hears it more than once. We also like to build in, and I think Dr. Travis and I even talked about this the other day, really important to help the patient understand the value of what they're getting for these specials that we're running. So understanding what they're getting on day one when they come in, all the time that's going to be spent, all the evaluations that are going to be done. But we found specifically for credit card payment, it's layering it in more than once. If we get resistance, we use analogies. When you book a flight, you have to put your credit card into the interwebs. If you're online doing it, you have to have a credit card. We're a medical office. Your information's safe. You'll get a receipt. I mean, there's things that we do to counteract the objections we may get with the payment.
Okay, that's super helpful because I know there's some markets. I know Dr. Cooper's in here. He's in New York. And when we ask people like in his market for a card on file, like he gets more resistance than anyone I've seen
100%.
before. So
I'm glad you say
that.
I really am, because again, I've worked with so many offices all over the US in multiple different states. Yeah, I know that. Jersey specifically, we had some issues there as well. And it is different. So it is a bit of understanding that dynamic. And if you want to be, Jersey, if you want to be flexible, great. Sometimes offices will say, totally understand, we can't hold your spot in the schedule, but you're more than welcome to, come in, stop by, say hi. You can pay when you come into like before. We've had it be very successful for clinics. I don't know that would work in Jersey or New York. Everything needs to be right now for them. But so there's multiple taxes, but you're spot on. You kind of have to know your area a little bit. It's different everywhere. And if you meet the resistance, it's okay to pivot and try something else. Doesn't mean it's broken and it's failing. And here's the other thing. We track how many people are actually objecting to the credit card, right? So is it a feeling? We don't like to base our decisions on our staff feeling like everybody's arguing with us about a credit card. If you talked to 20 people and only 2 of them objected to giving a card, that's not really a problem. If you talk to 20 people and 10 of them are, then you might want to change something. So when we started looking at how many were really objecting because of it was very few most of the time. Not enough to change it. So don't change your whole process for 1 or 2 naysayers, be careful of that.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So we've had a little bit about mindset. We've gone in the weeds a little bit with the phone call, maybe some scripting, maybe some tactical stuff there. In terms of just the importance of frequency of following up and being consistent there, it's a little bit more broad, but do you have anything in terms of whether it's mindset principles, concepts for us there?
Yes. You have to follow up a lot. And again, mindset is key. We are not trying to be slimy. We are not trying to be annoying. We are trying to help people. And I do, again, sounds cliche and silly, but it's not. I talk to my team constantly about that. We are on phones all day long. It can get daunting when the phone doesn't answer, because I know we were going to talk about, when people don't answer and you have to keep calling. Number one, when a lead comes in, it's so important. I think, and I'm imagining everybody's on this call has heard, you got to get to them right away. So if your staff is busy in the middle of the day and a lead comes in, that's a problem, right? They have to pick up the phone and call them as soon as they get into your system. That's number one. If they don't pick up, hang up, call them back. We call that the double dial. That's a little trick, write it down, that really helps people answer. They're like, whoa, this number just called me. They're calling again. Maybe it's important. Maybe I'll pick up. Because if it's not a number, if it's not caller ID of the clinic for some reason, which I know that can be a thing sometimes to set up. So call again, double dial. If they don't pick up, leave a message, tell them who you are. Call again later that day. Call the next day. Call the next day. We call every day for the first 7 days after a lead comes in. Sometimes we're leaving voice messages. Sometimes we're not. We're peppering in text messages. Again, the CRM that you guys set up is awesome, right? Because it has some nurturing in there. We add nurturing in there too. That's important. No new lead left behind. It's not trying to, so if you've been messaging me too much. We just care about you and getting you the help that you need. We're not trying to be slimy salespeople. And I think, again, that's a mindset that I have to talk to my team about all the time. Remember our mission. Our mission is to help patients get to better healthcare. And that's the doctors we work with. Keep calling, it's kind of like our rally cry. So does that help? It's often, you never really give up. And after that first week, if they haven't answered, we call later, but we don't ever give up. You paid for a lead. That lead said they needed help. Don't stop. Just less. It's less. The colder they get, the less likely they are to convert. That's why it's so important to do it right away.
Yeah.
I think we had a question in the chat. I saw it pop up. I don't know if you're paying attention, but I couldn't read it all. So just in case, I don't want to miss anything.
We'll ask that.
Okay.
I think for your mindset, just from my personal experience doing the follow-up for so long, I've had probably like 10x more thank you for following up for me rather than like explicit.
Yes. And so here's the thing, you get that too. The mean people, again, they might be in pain. They might have had a bad day. I don't know why they're mean. It happens, but that can't weigh down on the people that are doing this for you either. I think that's super important. Something must be going on with that person. Don't take it personally. We're doing our job to help them. But you're right. We've gotten tons of, oh my gosh, thank you. I forgot all about this. I'm glad you followed up with me. Yeah.
Awesome.
For sure.
Cool. I think that's super helpful.
Yeah.
So Dr. Bob asked, for a small office doc, and he has one team member, would you recommend the doctor take the lead on the follow-up?
I don't know. Well, that's such a good question. Again, I think it depends. Do you have time? Do you really have the time to follow up? I think that would be my follow-up question. I want the doctor focused on actually caring for the patient. They're the only one that can do that can actually execute on the care they're seeking out. So I think it's super awesome when a doctor can. I mean, there's nothing better than the doctor calling a patient. They love that because you don't get that today. There aren't doctors out there calling, well, we don't want to be like regular doctors, but so I think it depends. I think it can be fantastic, but you have to be just as good at it as what I'm saying a staff needs to be on it right away. So if you're comfortable doing that, great. If you're not, have your staff do it. I don't know that it makes sense ever for the doctor to do it because we want you focused on caring for the patients and having having a practice in your business. That would be my take. Does that help, Dr. Bob?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd have to try like double down typically when we have a lot of solo docs run their own ads and so forth, the first hire that they make or that we'll guide them to making is CA,
Yeah,
chiropractic assistant, so they can specifically mostly handle a lead follow-up to buy back some of the doctor's time.
100%.
Because if you're calling a lead 7 days in a row, double call on top of quick responding text messages, that doesn't leave a lot of time for much else because it's its own job, it's its own role, it's its own ownership.
Well, yeah. And I think too, it
Yeah.
depends on, or we wish things were black and white. And I kind of think of myself as too black and white sometimes,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to my chiropractic offices. But it depends on the ability of the staff member too. So if
Yeah.
it's me and if I'm a doctor and I'm running a practice and that's my thing, and my staff member sucks at it, you bet your butt I'm gonna be the one doing it until my
Good
staff
point.
member can be better at it than me.
Yeah.
So again, depends.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna let
Yeah.
it fail.
Yeah.
So you could do it, maybe not. There's some doctors I'm like, get them off the phone. The staff is better at it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let them do
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah. Not completely black and white, but I think generally speaking. So I know Dr. Cooper wants to jump on. He has a
yeah,
question or two. So
sure.
Cooper, if you want to take the mic.
Hello.
Hey.
All right, I have a few questions. So how long are these calls that you do? Because I know with the script from the Chiropractic Academy, they're like 5 to 8 minutes. It sounds like yours are a little bit longer than that, though.
They might be a little bit longer, but that's about, I would say that's about average. 8 minutes-ish is about our call average. Yeah. So we're very in alignment with them,
Okay.
again, asking the questions and such, especially if you're taking a card or payment. That's the part that really ends up just taking a little bit longer. It's not so much the bulk of the conversation. That's usually that 5 to 8 minute sweet spot. If you take payment, it might take a little longer. Yeah.
Okay, and then question, how is the conversation different, or if it is different, is like if somebody calls your office like, hey, I'd like to make an appointment, versus you're calling a lead that responded to like a Facebook ad. It's the same script,
Yeah.
a different script, because at that point they're like, I want to come in. Like, can I come,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
It is a little bit different. I think yes, it is different because they're warm and ready to roll. So I think that's when you're getting just the information you need. Again, just a little bit of, because they can still cancel or no show you, right? So I think it's still
Yeah.
important, hey, Mrs. Smith, so grateful that you called us today. Tell me, we'd love to get you scheduled. Tell me a little bit more about why you need to come in and have some of that dialogue still. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's not normal. We need to, yeah, absolutely. And so build some of that trust on the phone is still important, but yeah, I would say it's a little bit different because they're already like ready to roll. I think it's important to still get through some of the nurturing and the empathy and understanding what that patient really needs. Cause that's going to build like I am not missing that appointment. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to cancel or reschedule that appointment. So yeah.
Yeah, build some rapport ahead of time.
100%. That day
my last
zero
question.
conversation.
Yeah. My last question was, I was checking out your page because Ryan put a link to your website in the thing, and you have like a done for you service, and then you have like a academy thing where I guess you
Yeah.
teach their framework.
Yeah.
My question is, like, because I hired somebody to do the calls because I was like, I can't do this. I'm too busy for this.
Yeah.
With your course, is it the same scripts that you use? Because a lot of times I found, I'm not saying you do this, but usually there's like, hey, our done for you service is Coca-Cola, and you could buy the course version and it's like Diet Coke. It's not quite the
Yes.
same.
No, everything I'm talking to you about on here is in that course. So it's cool. You're jumping. I love it. Thank you for checking it out. We're going to get into that in a second, but yeah, I have a team. Half of them have actually worked in practices. I cherry picked my team because I know that matters. I know how important it is to care about what we're doing. So but yes, my course is going through all of these things that I've mentioned, like the double dial, that's in there. The script that we use, that's in there. The objections we handle, that's in there. And I am not somebody who's going to, quote me. I'm not going to sell you something where if you have questions afterward, you better contact me. Like, I want to make sure you felt good about what that's giving you. But it's going through everything. I even have a module in there teaching them like about the nerve system, because that's important to me. And so I just do a little education on what that means so that the people who are going to be making the calls they understand it if you haven't done it. So,
Right.
yeah.
Cool. Those are all the
Yeah.
questions I had for you. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks. I appreciate it.
All right. Awesome. Dr. Daniel, Dr. Bob, anything else pop up for you in terms of questions you'd like to ask Jenn here? I'll give him a moment here.
No
Dan's
questions.
got no questions here. All right. I think Bob had his question. Well, I had my list of questions and we went through those and more. So I had mentioned, as long as, yep, I had mentioned Dr. Travis and I have been utilizing your done for you services. And we break it down. I'd like to see things as black and white. And when I'm making any kind of investment in my business, it's like, is there a return? And for most of the docs in the Chiropractic Academy, you're selling care plan prices, $1,500 to $2,000. So when making decisions, I like to look at it in the frame of like, okay, well, if I can get an additional 1 to 10 new patients through my door, 5 additional of my leads converted, what does that do for my revenue? And compare that against any investment I'm making. So if I wanted to learn some more about your done for you service to see if it was a good fit for my practice, and it could either take some, pressure off my front desk staff or just like buy back some of my time and even do the job, take this role, own this role better than I could because I don't have the time, or maybe the skill sets, like, I'm sure you have thousands of calls under your belt, and there's an element of doing all those reps to gain skill, and we might not have that. So if I'm considering any of that, what steps can I take to learn more? Either book a call with you or, kind of take the next steps.
100%. And let me add, with our done for you, I think there's a couple of things that is important to note, because I know practice owners, you docs, like, you worry, who is going to be talking to my patients on my behalf? Dr. Travis and I had a really good conversation about that a while ago. They speak as an extension of your office. Again, I have people on my team that have worked in practices. That's awesome. Like, they come with the experience, and I just leveled up their knowledge by taking them through my course. It's the first thing they do when they start on my team. They speak how you want that. Like, we go through and like, well, what do you want us to say? We have our script. We want to make sure that it aligns with how your practice wants to sound. So just confidently, there's good people on the phones. That's always hard when you're hiring somebody. Like, who are they? What are they sounding like? All the calls are recorded. You hear them all. That's good. To learn more, can I share? Do you want to share? Can I share? I'll share my screen. If that's
Go
okay.
ahead, share your screen, please.
This is what we've got, because people are on the call today. I have a couple things just to offer that you can go check out. I've got a free guide talking about tracking KPIs in your practice. We didn't even really get into that, but it is super important when you're doing lead follow-up and your team is to track some metrics on it. How are you moving the needle? How many people are showing up? How many people are starting care? Oh yeah, you can't scan. Yeah, we're going to drop the link for you, Cooper. Make sure he gets that actual QR code, because this is an image. I don't think you could, usually with QR codes, you can click and hold on the QR code and it'll take you to the link if you're on your phone. I don't know if it'll do that because this is an image, but we'll get it to you. This takes you to the options. You can absolutely book a free call with me. So I've got the guide, download it, it's free. It talks about KPIs. My course is currently on sale. I am not raising the price on that. I am lowering it because I think more offices need help in this regard. The course is only $597. When you scan that QR code, you can see that guide in there. You can see the course, the link to the course, and talks a little bit more about the course. My website's there. A free call is there. It's all there. So I would absolutely be happy to talk to anybody just to see where you're at, do a little audit of how it's going with your leads and book a call with me to talk about our service. It's free. You know, we want what's best for you. Get on my calendar and we can see how it's going. I'll give you some pointers. Let's see if it makes sense to work together. And we'll go from there.
Perfect. Awesome. I know I've seen like another company or two doing what you do. I know there was sometimes some, like I've heard some maybe some negative feedback about the people calling. Is your team all based in the United States?
Yes. And I have one that isn't because
Yeah.
she serves my Spanish, my Spanish speaking
Gotcha.
populations. So
Gotcha.
she manages all of the clinics that have that need.
Awesome.
And that is a good point. We assign a person to an office. So,
Yeah.
you know, there are a lot of call teams out there. I mean, I'm not trying to sell anything, but I am, right? You won't find a team like us as passionate. Who talks about caring about the patients when you hop on a sales call with them? I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that from other call teams, but we do assign people to the practices. And so you get a person, you quite literally are hiring a full-time person to manage this for you. And it does cost, my full service costs far, far less than hiring a full-time person to focus on it. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that
It's
insight.
super important
Yeah.
that people aren't struggling to understand the person on the other end, especially the elderly demographic of patients. You know, they get frustrated when they can't understand. So yeah, it's super important that my team can articulate themselves properly and talk to patients where they can understand. So proudly based in the US.
Yes, of course. Yeah, Dr. Travis and we did our homework, and like that was for our decision one of the big, selling factors, and just your knowledge base, your team's knowledge base, having our own person. It was to us a no-brainer. So we do have Dr. Daniel who has a question here. So Daniel, if you want to jump on and ask a question here.
Hi, Jen.
Hi.
So my question is, so my team handles this right now, and I think everybody's doing a good job. I'm sure we could do better.
Yeah.
But when we're putting up these ads, we A/B test a lot. So we put up this ad and then maybe a different introduction or different text. And like, it doesn't feel like it's an issue, but if someone who is more trained and specified than my team was doing it, and we were able to get that one extra booking or whatever a month, obviously it would make a lot of sense. But I'm just wondering, like, is there a way to do you have a system set up where people track their stats of their team versus your team, and then like it's not really an emotional decision, but you can just see the data and say, well, this makes financial sense for me to outsource this?
Well, 100%. So yes, we have KPIs. We have the key performance indicators that we track for our offices that we work with. Things like, and so to give you an example of what you should start tracking now, if you're not already, or just download my guide, it kind of tells you, but to give you the real, like, number of leads that are coming in, is it obviously, that high level number of leads that are coming in, how many are talking to you? A lot of people don't track that. There is a way to track, well, how many is actually replying to anything that they may opt in, but do they engage after opt-in?
Right.
Do they call you? Do they text you? So track engagement. You can do that in high level as if they're tagged properly. And then how many book appointments? Okay. So you'll get some conversion numbers out of that. But then how many people show up? Like, track that. And then of the people that show up, how many show up, or how many sign up for care? Those are like the baseline KPIs that you want your team to be tracking now. And we track the same thing when we start with an office. So we can look at the raw data. We just did it with Dr. Travis the other day. We look at the data and well, how's it going? How's it going? Is it going awesome? Are they engaging? Are they not engaging? If they didn't book, why? We're trying to identify some of those reasons. Like, was it a credit card objection? Was it they're too far from the practice? So hopefully that answers your questions. we want to see what's working and what's not and try to pull the levers that we can. But knowing where you're at right now, I'd love to just find out where you're at, whether you use us or not, and tell you, well, that's pretty darn good for social media. You know, there are some norms that we see, averages that we see that you want to be around. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. Great question.
Good question. Yeah, I was gonna say, good question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we
All
good
right.
with the, I can stop sharing, good with the, we got to get everybody if you can't click and hold it, I'm not sure if you can.
Yeah, I took the link that the QR put and I put it in the chat. I'm also going to post this with the recording, and I'll make sure the QR code and link are accessible for
Awesome.
anybody interested. So if
Sounds good.
nobody has any other questions, I really appreciate your time. Jen, drop some knowledge here, giving our doc some additional resources to just get more patients in the door. So I appreciate that. And if no one has anything else, then I will let you go.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it so
All right.
much. Thanks for letting me spend the time today.
All right. Thanks, Jen. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Take care, everybody.